Greetings, everybody. I'm Dave Syme. I'm a securities attorney and wanted to give you guys a little bit of a primer on insider trading and what that means to you specifically. Here's the problem. Let's first talk just real quickly about how the stock market works. Let's say that Cyber has eight properties, okay, 8 products that they're going to sell. And the analysts have all looked at it and figured out that with these 8 products, it's going to sell for $1 a share, okay? Let's just say. But then one of these wizards comes up with a new idea that doubles the sales, okay? The stock is going to go up, is going to double, okay? So, but the day that you guys figure out that you have a rock star product that's going to shake up the whole company, the minute the word gets out, the stock market is going to react. And they're going to double it, even though you haven't started selling the product yet, even though you haven't proved the product yet. They know that this is such a good product that stock is going to go through the roof. And it happens the day that people discover that you have this new product or this new idea. Or let's say one of the marketing guys comes in with some huge alliance that's going to be incredibly profitable for the company. The stock value jumps up the minute the market finds out that alliance got signed, okay? Now, so that's how the stock market works. They don't wait until the products are actually selling. They react the minute everybody can see that, oh boy, they got a winner. You know, this is going to go huge. Richard Ham is with Tartan, and Richard is the guy that's going to make the decision as to when we announce, what we announce, how we announce it. He may think, gee whiz, I would prefer to have this stuff announced at the next shareholder meeting, or I would prefer to go on Bloomberg and announce it on TV. Remember that the stock market is all about showbiz, okay? And we might have Chuck up there on NBC saying that we have this phenomenal new thing, and then the market will blow up. But the good news is everybody found out at the same time. Nobody had any insider information in advance. So sometimes we're going to want to keep things secret. Okay. So that's the basic idea that whenever something new happens, whenever a contract gets signed, a technology works, there's a new alliance, we have a buyout offer from some big company, we're literally going to have documents that are stamped confidential. And we're going to keep it to as very few people as we possibly can. There may be only 5 people that know about it. And we're going to keep it very tight, because when that information leaks, if that information leaks out, whoever got it first is going to make all the money on it. Now, I'll give you one example. Richard has been CEO of a couple public traded companies, and he actually had one of his relatives come into his office and rifle through his desk and look at what was on his walls to try to figure out if there was any top secret information they could get. This is family members. That's how important information is. Now, the problem is this. Suppose you're sitting there and you know something good is about to happen. You could theoretically make $1 million off of it. There is temptation to tip somebody off and let them know to either buy, or if there's bad news, to sell. And here's what everybody thinks. Everybody thinks they're going to be clever, and they're going to find that old buddy from high school, right, that they haven't talked to in 25 years, who lives in New York, who you haven't talked to at all, and they could never trace you to the guy, okay? And you're going to call him up and say, hey, Cyber's about to announce earnings, and the earnings are way above what we thought they would be. Buy Cyber now. And he says, okay. And he goes ahead and does it, and there's no way it could ever get back to you. Here's what you don't know. The SEC tracks every trade that is made ever. Every single trade gets tracked by the computers. And if anybody got too lucky, they investigate. They look at, hey, wait a minute. This guy bought on Tuesday, it doubled, and then he sold the next Tuesday. Nobody's that good. Then they start looking into him. They start looking into his records. They start looking at his phone records. And they never give up. They're crazy. They know something's up. And people get busted all the time. And here's what happens. They go to the guy and they say, that trade was too lucky. We've got you. And the black Suburbans show up, with the guys in dark glasses. And then they say to him, listen, if you give the money back, you're going to do 60 days in jail, but you got to give up your buddy. you got to give up the guy that gave you the information. Because we know you're dirty. Give up your guy, and we'll make it a misdemeanor. We won't make it a felony. We'll basically let you walk. Just give the money back. We'll call it even. But he's going to turn in whoever knew. And that's how they track it back to you. They just lean on the people up the chain, and everybody eventually winds up going down for it. So that's the main problem. Now, you might ask, many of you people are insiders, and you have lots of secrets in your head. You're talking to 5 different groups about some huge sales, and your head's always full of secret stuff. How can you ever buy or sell stock, right? The answer is, you generally speaking, people sell, like let's say someone wants to sell 20,000 shares. They might sell 5,000 and 2 weeks later, 5,000 and 2 weeks later, 5,000 and 2 weeks later, 5,000 on a set program that lets everybody know what's going on. Also, there's what's called a Form 144, where anybody who's an insider, anybody has too much knowledge, files something with the SEC and says, by the way, I'm going to begin selling within the next 90 days. And you tip off the market, and the market knows that you're going to do that. It's not a shocker, and you don't get in trouble. What other topics do we have? Okay, so the question is, what do we consider insider information? What do we consider important? And the answer is any material information, good or bad, that would influence the market, that would influence the stock market. Any information could be good or bad, and that's the answer. Now let's talk about the next thing. Suppose you're out drinking with the boys, and you just had a real breakthrough. You did a great job. Your technology finally works. You've been working on it for 6 months, and you finally made the breakthrough, and it worked. You did it. You're a hero, and you shoot your mouth off, and you say things you shouldn't have said. You wake up the next morning and say, oh no, I wasn't supposed to talk about that. I let it slip. It's a big deal. Answer, call Mallory, call me, talk to somebody in management and immediately confess your sins, okay? Okay?
T-shirt. Get the T-shirt.
Immediately. Okay?
Thank you for sharing.
Grab some confession.com.
Pass them out.
Valerie, can you stand up?
Yes. Mallory is considering being compliance officer, so she may sneak out of it, but she'll probably wind up with that. And say, listen, I let some stuff slip. I talked to a guy. I shouldn't have said what I said. I now realize I think I blew it. And the way that we fix that problem is, if the information's out, we will issue a press release. We will issue an 8K. We will tell the public everything you told that guy at the bar, so that it's now, again, a level playing field. And we'll eliminate the leak. Now our investor relations people and our sales people and our broker dealers and everybody's gonna be mad at you because we had a great nugget of information. We were going to go on Bloomberg and we were going to drop a bomb on Bloomberg and have all that excitement. And you screwed up because now all we're going to do is put out a press release, and we kind of lost that showbiz snap that we were looking for. So people will be mad at you, but it's okay. The worst thing you can do is not say anything. Some guy goes and trades on that information. The SEC figures out he got too lucky because those guys are always stupid. They always trade on it and get in and out in 3 days and make double their money in 3 days, and they always get caught. The worst thing you can do is sit on it, okay? So that's what's going to happen. Now, you guys have to develop in your head kind of a feeling of, oh boy, I got a tiger by the tail here. You know, you land a great big $20 million sale. You have a breakthrough technology. Frank has some huge deal with some, when those kinds of things happen, when you go, oh boy, this is huge, you got to immediately clamp down. Don't talk to anybody about it. Maybe talk to 1 or 2 people within the company on a need-to-know basis and keep a lid on it. Then the other thing that's going to happen is call the marketing people, which could be Richard Ham, could be myself, and say, listen, we have a breakthrough here. Only 3 people know about it. The lid is on it. We're not going to talk to anybody else. What would you like us to do with it? And Richard might say, oh, that is fantastic, love it. Go ahead and get the deal inked. I will, we'll do an announcement at the next big shareholder meeting and get some real mileage out of this. We'll get a real stock pop out of it. Because we contained it, it was confidential, and we got to tell it when we were ready to tell it. Okay. Let's do one more thing. You might get a little confused about, well, how can I sell? I mean, how can I sell stock or buy stock? Because your head's continuously filled with information. The guy that you folks are going to be working with is a guy named Denny Burns. Denny Burns is going to be your go-to guy when you're ready to sell shares. Okay, you call Denny and say, listen, Denny, I want to buy a house. I want to sell, 20,000 shares. That's what I want to do. And Denny will say, okay, I'll help you. I'll advise you on how you should do that without destroying the share value, right? And because if too many shares hit the market in 1 hour, the stock price can dip for a bit. So Denny might say, listen, I got a guy who wants to buy 20,000 shares. We're going to do this deal off the market. It's not going to hit the market, and it's not going to flood the market with extra shares. So your first stop is go to Denny and say, this is what I want to do. And he may say, well, let's do 1,000 a day for the next 20 days, or let's do it all at once. The market's dying for shares and no one's willing to sell. So he will listen to what you want to do, and then he'll set it up for you so it doesn't do any damage to the stock price. Or in some cases, he might be dying for liquidity because no one will sell and everybody wants to buy. When you pop up and say you want to sell 20,000 shares, he says, oh, excellent, finally I have some liquidity, and he may orchestrate how that gets worked into the market. But Denny will also help you with the insider trading stuff. He will make sure that you're not violating any of the rules. That's the basic idea. You got to get that kind of military, oh boy, I think this is top secret. I think I'm going to shut up and talk to only one person about this, and you're going to be careful about who that person is. Well, that's basically it. And the final thing is, don't ever think you're going to get away with it, okay? It seems like easy money, but they always get them. They knock off, I think they convict guys like about 1 a week who do this stuff. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's just too easy to get caught. So there. That's it. Thanks a lot, and you'll see more of me.